Hey babes, my name's Hannah.
And my name's Chasity.
Welcome back to Bookish Babes. Today we've got kind of an interesting video. We've done similar videos to this on our channel in the past, but for more specific books. But we're doing, if you liked book A, you'll like book B. I don't know how else to word it.
Yeah.
If you enjoyed one book, we think that you'll maybe enjoy this other book. And we tried to pick some more popular ones or ones that we've talked about before. We have a whole video on this, I believe, on like the After series, like books similar to After.
And I think we did You.
Yeah. Did
Yeah.
we do Verity too? I feel like I remember talking about comparing something to Verity.
I don't know if we did Verity. I know we did You by Caroline Kepnes, and I know we did After by Anna Todd.
Yeah, so it's going to be similar to that. Popular books that we've read and that we have ones. They're not necessarily similar in storyline, but just similar tropes. Basically, just if you read that book, we think you'd enjoy this book because there's aspects of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
We each have three, well technically six, but three little combinations to talk about. Do you want to start?
Sure. The first one, funny enough, is If You Liked Verity by Colleen Hoover. I think you would very much enjoy My Lovely Wife by Samantha Downing. It has a lot of the same psychological thriller aspects, and it's just kind of messes with your mind a little bit. And I I had a hard time after reading Verity finding something that I really got into that kind of made me feel the same and think like that. And that was the next hit for me, was My Lovely Wife. So usually when people come into the store and they're like, I don't know what to read, Verity just like really messed me up.
Yeah.
That's usually the one that I go to.
Yeah.
So I think that's what you should read.
Also, honorable mention to The Ghostwriter by Alexandra Torre. Or I think that's published under A.R. Torre. That one's very similar too.
Oh gosh, yes it is.
Yeah.
I love that book so much.
Yeah.
But yeah, we don't have it in stores. So
No, I think I want to say it's indie, so.
It's so good.
So good.
Oh, so good.
The first one that I have is Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren. I know that one's getting really popular right now. I read it a few years ago. I loved it. I've definitely talked about it before. The one that I kind of think is similar is now called Miles Apart. It's by Willow Astor. When I read it, it was called 5,331 Miles, but it's the same book. They're both kind of similar in the sense that they are two people who were childhood friends, they dated in their childhood, and then something happened and they don't reconnect until years later. And I feel like that's a common trope, but the thing that compares this so much to me is that there was like a big reason why they stopped talking, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So when they reconnect years later, they have that to work through. And I always thought that that was such an interesting thing to read about.
So it wasn't just like
they just lost
drifted
connection.
apart,
Yeah, exactly. There was like a
gotcha.
big thing that happened. They stopped talking and they didn't reconnect until years later. And they reconnected for a reason and they had to work through all of that. So
okay,
they in my mind were like very similar.
that makes sense. I haven't read that one by Willow.
I really like it.
I need to read that one.
Yeah.
You should read that one indeed. The next one I want to recommend is If You Liked Misery by Stephen King. I would highly suggest Good Night Beautiful by Amy Malloy. This book was really good, and it gave me all of the misery vibes. I loved this book, could not put it down, and the way that I don't think the writing is similar, but like the circumstances are similar. Like he's very much like he needs to be taken care of. He's in kind of a weird place, and he's not quite sure what's going on or who to trust. And it's very, like if you read it, you'll see the connection to Misery.
Yeah.
Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah.
But I definitely think it's worth a read. Absolutely. For any kind of thriller.
The next one I have is If You Liked The Song of Achilles, I think you'll like The Kite Runner by Khaled Hosseini. Now, I said this, I think, in the wrap-up where I talked about The Song of Achilles, that I found some of the tropes really similar. The storyline itself, I wouldn't necessarily say is similar, but it's the same where you follow two people from childhood into adulthood. And it starts off as like, they're very much two characters that are very different, like in very different social statuses.
Okay.
Who connect and have like this true raw friendship. in the Song of Achilles, obviously I'm not spoiling anything because this is mythology, but it turns like romantic, and that's not necessarily the case in the Kite Runner, but it's the same to me where like you literally follow them through everything that they've gone through in their whole lives, and you follow them into adulthood, and both of them are very emotional. They're two very important, I should say very imperfect characters that I think are like really important to read about.
Okay.
I think the best part about both of these books is whose point of view it's from.
Okay.
Because you have to keep in mind in both of these books, obviously we're only getting one side of the story, but I think that it's the side that you learn the most from because they're the most imperfect characters in the book.
That makes sense.
Yeah. I really love both of them. The Kite Runner is one of my all-time favorite books.
I still need to read it.
You really do. And yeah, I do think that when I read The Song of Achilles, I couldn't help in my mind comparing it to The Kite Runner. And I know that The Song of Achilles is really popular right now. So if you read it and liked it, you'll probably like The Kite Runner.
Okay. That's how I felt when I was reading Goodnight Beautiful, is I couldn't help but like compare it to Misery. So that's a good recommendation.
Yeah.
The next one I definitely have is, if you, I don't want to say liked, but if you read Lolita,
stomach it.
yeah, if you made it through, I think you should definitely read My Dark Vanessa by Kate Elizabeth Russell. I have said this before on the channel, I will say it again. I think My Dark Vanessa is a book that everyone should read. It's extremely well written, and it's just one that absolutely needs to be read. It was such an eye-opening book. There we go.
That's better. I own that book. I own My Dark Vanessa.
You haven't read it?
I have it. I have it. It's literally next to, it's like in the small TBR stack that I keep like on my nightstand. So
that
I
needs
really
to be
get to
moved
it.
up.
Yeah.
Up on your CPR. That needs to be moved up. It's tough to stomach. It is. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's probably gonna take you a little bit to get through because it's tough content. Like,
that's what I heard.
But it's well written, and it's something everybody needs to read.
Yeah.
It
just about like grooming.
Yeah, it just goes to show like how much goes into it and how it literally could happen to anybody. Yeah. Literally. Yeah. And just brings so much awareness. So yeah. 100%.
Last one I have is Darling. If you liked Darling Rose Gold, I think you'll like White Oleander. I didn't write down the author, and I don't remember the author, but was kind of popular a longer time ago. I read it when I was way too young to be reading it. Once again, storylines are not similar, but the reason I chose these two together is because they have the two most complicated mother-daughter relationships that I've ever read about. Like, they're both very...
Okay, I remember you telling me about this.
They both very much are two daughters who have dealt with a very narcissistic mother. Okay. And it takes two different, like, completely two different turns. It's not at all a similar storyline, but once again, when I was reading Darling Rose Gold, I was like, ooh, this kind of gives me White Oleander vibes because of, like, everything that she went with her mom and all the situations that she was put in because of her mother. Same with White Oleander. Just check the trigger warnings for White Oleander. There's a lot. Drug use, murder.
And for anyone that is wanting to read these books, down below for all of our videos, I do put a link with the description for all of the books that we talk about. Yeah. So I will look up the author and have that down below, and a link to the book itself. Yeah. All right. Well, we hope you liked our suggestions. Comment down below. Let us know what you think. Like and subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you know when we post next. And we'll see you next time. Bye. Bye.